Hello, and we are live, and you can see the backdrop of the beautiful Loophead Peninsula in County Clare. I am Joanne Sweeney, and I'm going to be your host for the next 2 hours. And I'm joined by John Aston, who is going to be my co-host for the next 2 hours. And let me first let you know why you are here and what you are watching. So over the past 2 years, some magnificent work has been happening by the community, for the community at Loophead. And today is kind of culminating in a launch and a reveal of what that work has been. So there was a digital academy launched about 2 years ago, one focusing on digital marketing, empowering local businesses and community groups and individuals to bring their voice and their wares online. And secondly, a digital video academy. And there are 5 videos being premiered today. And oh my goodness, does it not feel as if we are in Loophead when we are watching them? I've been lucky enough to have a preview of those, so please do stay tuned. Also, I'd welcome you to share this broadcast on your Facebook profile. Please do that because we want as many people as possible to find out about Loophead, what's happening now, what's been happening over the past 2 years, and what is planned for 2022. But let me introduce you to John. So John, you've actually been behind the scenes and a bit of a visionary, I would have to say, along with your comrades around Loophead. Tell us about where the idea came from and what was your master vision.
Joanne, thanks very much. Thanks very much for organising this straight away. And I would very much say that I'm not behind it. I think knowing so many people on Loophead, there's a whole pile of really dynamic people here, all of them with different visions going forward. And I think what we've used COVID time for is to pull that vision together with, when we have to rebound out of COVID, what is the offering on Loophead? Loophead Tourism from 2010 have been working on what they mean by sustainable tourism. COVID has given an opportunity, first of all, to feel the pain of what happens when tourism goes away, and then to answer the question, well, what do we really mean by sustainable? What's going to be great for this generation and the next, for this part of Ireland, part of the world that so many people love? Just like many other parts of the world where there's tourism, how is it going to be really revitalizing the local community? How do we take the decisions linked to tourism in a way that the community is first? And the first thing is to give people a voice. And so during COVID, working with yourself, working with Matt and Nolly from Zuka Films, there's been an amazing camaraderie around, really upskilling on digital marketing, upskilling on how do you create fantastic videos and films from your smartphone. Now, Matt and Nolly, the films we're going to showcase today, Matt and Nolly, that's the icing on the top of the academy, because they want us to know as well the limitations of what you can do with your smartphone. These are done professionally as part of the training. So they're not smartphone, but the amount of input from different people on what they want to see on Loophead, it's all there. So this really is about working together to have a voice, to express what's really important, both to the community itself, but also to people who want to visit.
And so right throughout the next 2 hours, we're actually going to hear from and see and meet all of those wonderful people that are doing such great work on Loophead Peninsula. But I believe we're going to start with the first of our videos. Do you want to intro that and then I can play it?
The first one, again, in the pub late at night, when you ask, well, guys, what's the first video we should take? They're saying, well, we should introduce the place. So this is all about places and some of the people who are here. Now, a big thank you to the people who stepped forward. Remember that everyone who's on that video is going to get, as the Irish expression goes, they're going to get slagged like hell in the pub afterwards, because and so not easy to be on the video. So a big welcome to everyone who stepped forward for this video, but also all the other people who love this place so much. And the first one, People and Places.
Okay, here we go, and directed and produced by the wonderful Zuka Films.
When people come here for the first time and they get that kind of initial, whether they're looking at the cliffs or the sky or looking at the lighthouse, whatever they're looking at, it's a wonderful thing to see because this place is just fantastic.
When I was a walker and I walked and walked and walked and I was continually walking up to the lighthouse and back, especially on certain days when up around the lighthouse when the wind was kind of thrumming through the telephone wires and you get that mad whoo, and the seas, the huge seas, and you really felt that you were, kind of part of nature. that goes right to your very core.
You stand on Loop Head with a bit of a wind, or up in the cliffs in Kilkee, you've got a salty lip. You can feel the sea, you can hear the sea, and you can taste the sea.
Born and bred in Loop Head. My great-grandfather was farmer here in 1870. We're here since. I enjoy every day of it, every single day. Fresh air, freedom, what more could anyone ask for?
It's a rural area, is Loop Head. What you see is what you get. So we're in the middle of a farming and fishing community, and tourism is part of that as well. But it's all interlinked, because the farmer's daughter or the fisherman's daughter is working in the local pub. And, you know, we all know each other, and we're all working with each other. You know, we're probably all dancing with each other in the wintertime at set dancing, you know, in Carrigold on a Tuesday night, you know.
Well, I feel very connected. I feel very strange living in a city, let alone living away from the sea. It constantly changes. The tides change, currents. So you'll have a lovely day like today here, and then you'll have a gale blowing, wind and rain. So I think if you go up near the sea, it's very hard to get away from the sea.
Kilkee was mentioned as late as the 1800s as a place to immerse oneself in the healing waters of the Atlantic. Every day, regardless of whether the sun is shining or not, nature is giving. Say, I swim in the sea every day. Even if it's rough, that energy kind of seeps into you, and you can see from the sea pinks, the wildness, the flowers, the colour. And I always say to guests, you know, if they're going off walking or cycling, if you think you're lost, no. If you're following the guidebook that says go here, here and here, you're doing what everybody else has done. But if you get lost, you'll always remember the day that you had to stop and ask the farmer at the field, or you saw the cows where you normally wouldn't have. It's a place to get lost in, and it just gives all the time.
Wow. So moving. And just to quote one of your contributors, the fresh air and the freedom. And little did we know the fresh air and freedom were two things that would be so important in a pandemic world. Really magnificent. And John, you must be so proud of that first piece.
I'm so proud of the people who put that together, the way they've worked together, the way they've, and Matt and Nolik with the patience of filming all the different angles, and the way you give voice to, in a few little words, so many people can give such a voice to a place. As a very wise person once said, it's easy to write a long letter, but to write a short one takes time. And I think that video really has captured the essence. Now, some of you might have missed the very beginning. All of these will be live on www.loveloophead.com from 3 o'clock onwards. You'll see all 5 on the homepage. So anyone who misses a little bit, or you have a poor internet connection at the time, you'll be able to see them live in there then from 3 o'clock onwards. But yeah, totally proud, Joanne.
Amazing. And we're live streaming onto Facebook pages, Loophead Together and Love Loophead. So please, if you've just joined us, do share this live broadcast, a celebration of the work of the people from Loophead across community, across businesses and individuals, launching the videos that were produced over the past 2 years and celebrating, I guess, the finale of the Loophead Digital Academies. But we've got some guests, John, so let's get them in. And we have John Leonard and Liz Greehey, and they're in the green room eagerly waiting to join us. So let's get them in. We also have Margaret here. And here we go. Leonard, Liz and Margaret, you're all very welcome. So where do we want to start, John? Who do you want to start with?
I think we'll start with Liz. Leonard, Margaret, thanks so much for coming. So Liz, co-founder of Kilbaha Gallery. Liz, what did that academy feel like? And when you saw that film, what was your feeling for the place you've grown up in?
Yeah, I'm glad you started with that question, John, because I was sitting here watching it going, oh my goodness, I'm born and raised here in Loophead. I don't think I've ever felt as proud as I did watching that video to be a Loophead resident. I'm always proud, but that made me immensely proud. And I think it's a huge respect to Matt and Nullig from Zuka Films for the amazing film work and editing that they did, the way they brought together all those conversations. It was really special.
And I guess it really showed us the magic of editing. Fantastic. And that skill set now is with 52 people in the community. How has that skill set helped your own life and your own business on Loophead?
Oh goodness, like when this digital academy was first being kind of talked about, we were all still in business in the normal way, and we were going to be heading towards it in what we would have presumed would have been the normal way, in a classroom environment and everything else. And then all of a sudden COVID hit in March of 2020, and I suppose all of us had to adapt. All our businesses were suddenly thrust into this new direction. And those of us who had websites, or who certainly, those who didn't, were scrabbling to get one, and they did. And the timing was bizarre and wonderful, is all I can say. And in many respects, I think the fact that we were doing it online, and that the classes were in this kind of format that we have right now, and that we were able to go back on them and stuff, it made them incredibly, almost way more accessible. I think it was actually a blessing in disguise in many ways. We felt very close to our tutors, even though we were so far away, but we were virtually very close to them. We became close to them, and they were incredibly patient and kind with every single one of their students. And the digital hub aspect of the entire thing was perhaps just the icing on the cake, because being able to go back over, like, those classes were full on. There was lots of information. It was wonderful to go back on the notes and see stuff that you knew you'd picked up on, but you wanted to just kind of brush over again and revisit. So from all those aspects, it was really, really, really positive experience. I think Joanne and Matt and Nullig, the professionalism and the kindness, they were the two things that shone out for me. Very, very professional, but very, very kind, able to take and offering to take questions. It just felt like an easy process. And we had three of us that went along the process with Kilbaha Gallery, myself and Ailish, and our photographer Rosie. And to say we benefited would be an understatement.
You now have wonderful pictures from the area being sold all over the world, thanks to Kilbaha Gallery. Folks, check it out online. There's some great presence there. The only thing we missed big time is obviously the coffee shop. Looking forward to that being open again once it's safe again. Wonderful to meet you guys every time going in there. The warmth, the welcome, and the way you've managed to take some of that across into the digital world. That's been magic. Thank you so much. Leonard, you've got the tough job of directing overall rural development in the whole county of Clare for Clare County Council, and also you've got to focus on the Western Development District. What's your feeling as you see this video and the other videos that you may have previewed? What's your feeling as you see this activity, and how does it link in with the bigger plan, the bigger strategy of tourism development in Clare?
Well, firstly, good afternoon to everybody, and greetings especially to all of the businesses and the community in the Loophead tourism. Just maybe before I go to the question, John, I just want to congratulate everybody involved in this digital celebration of Loophead. And I've had an opportunity maybe to get a sneak preview of the videos, and the first one just up there now, and the quality is absolutely fantastic. But what is really impressive is the participation by the local community in the initiative, and I think it's quite innovative to have a digital academy for Loophead. So maybe to come to your question in relation to the fit, and how does the video we've just seen and the whole initiative fit with the Clare Tourism Vision. At the broadest level, it fits with the Clare Rural Development Strategy, which is trying to, I suppose, positively discriminate in favour of rural communities in Clare. And the energy of the community in Loophead is particularly expressed in this initiative. And our particular linkage then is around maybe the tourism strategy in Clare, which sets out a vision for the next decade for how the tourism industry and how the community and how the businesses and the state agencies, Fáilte Ireland, Clare County Council, etc., can work together. And in preparing that strategy, the community in Loophead participated in the various consultation workshops and strongly influenced, I might add, the direction of the strategy. But particularly, I wanted maybe to call out the sustainable tourism angle, if you like, that the Clare Tourism Strategy has taken. And that was a particular influence of the participants from Loophead Tourism. Maybe just to say a little bit about the strategy and how it fits with the video earlier and the other videos to come. The Clare Tourism Strategy, it's really a roadmap for the next number of years for businesses and for communities to work together to stitch in then where the government partners can enable communities to take charge of tourism in their own areas. So the tourism is first and foremost serving the community, and then where possible to give the visitor that nice visitor experience that Loophead offers, and then also to make a contribution to the economy. And the strategy focuses, as you know, on the 4 pillar areas of the holistic landscapes. And just even to rest on that one, everything that we have seen in the first video and everything that Loophead is promoted fits with that pillar of the holistic landscapes that the strategy is trying to call out. It also has a theme around high towers and powers, of which there's no shortage of monuments and archaeological and heritage, I suppose, points of interest in the peninsula. It then looks at the pillar of family adventure and family fun. And again, the product offering, the services, the way the various hospitality is packaged in Loophead, and the way, I suppose, the community has embraced the visitor helps to connect with that pillar in the strategy. And then the final one is around creative vitality, and just the video, the pure, I suppose, the crashing of the waves, the energy that was on the video, but the community warmth in those that spoke, again, fits in with what the strategy is trying to achieve. And just a final point, maybe just to wrap up, as I mentioned at the outset, the Clare Tourism Strategy is around sustainable tourism, sustainable for the community, which this initiative is leading out on, sustainable for the environment, which we're all custodians of, and then the economic sustainability, that the 3 of those fit together, but none in isolation, and there needs to be a balance. So just to congratulate everybody, John, and all online, and all of the businesses in the community that have put their shoulder to the wheel here over the last number of decades, but particularly in recent times with the innovation that's been expressed in this online digital presentation today. So thanks for the opportunity.
Leonard, thank you so much, and some really insightful information there. And you know, the role the County Council plays in facilitating people working together. Without people working together, we're going nowhere. So I think that clarity of strategy and the way people have been brought in to make it work, it's going to stand. I see in the background there the foundation of Loophead, the solid rock. I think having a joined up thinking strategy behind all of these initiatives makes us go the extra mile so much easier. So a big thank you from certainly for myself and anyone I can speak on behalf of for that. Margaret, speaking of the economy, you saw your husband in the film. The agriculture, I think there's 15,000 cattle in the Loophead area, roaming quite free, no intensive farming really happening, 1 or 2 exceptions potentially. Big picture, really a natural farming. And you also work in the chemist in Kilkee, and in fact you're coming live from your chemist in Kilkee.
Yes.
You have family who are breathing farming and real closeness to nature on Loophead for years now. What was your impression of seeing your husband there? And then how do you think that film captured the essence of Loophead?
Well, first of all, I'm glad I'm at work because he was a very unwilling participant, but I'm very impressed, and I just want to thank him for doing it because I think it's an important part of what we're trying to promote as a community here. I mean, as he said, his family been there since 1870, and our son is now, you know, the next generation farming that. And you know, the community in Loophead is a fantastic community. Over the last number of years, we've been, you know, working together for different things. Now we're on a bigger scale, and this digital marketing course has really, you know, brought us together. small businesses, you'd have nowhere. What did I know about a domain, until Joanne, showed us, and told us how we could get a domain for our business. Atlantic Way Lodge has now, .com and .uk. Unbelievable. Would I have thought of doing that 12 months ago? No. The work Joanne has done with us has showed us, I won't say it's idiot proof, but she has, pushed it forward to us on a very understandable platform. We were able to take it on board. If we were, stuck on anything, we went back. There was mentoring, and it was an absolutely fantastic course for us to have done. And then for Matt and Nullig to show us how we should film and, do our little vignettes as well. For our homework, and that's an experience that we wouldn't have been able to do. I don't think any of us would have had the time to go somewhere to do these courses. So the fact that it was online, there were over 50 of us doing the course at the time, and it just made, and like everybody could throw in their questions. Nothing was too silly to ask, it was all taken on board, and it was just a fantastic experience for everybody on the peninsula.
Margaret, thank you very much. And again, I mean, you've all said it, it's a big thank you to Joanne, Nullig and Matt for having worked with us. That they both won the if you like the partnership with Loophead through competitive tender. There were over 13 applicants from all over Ireland, fantastic applicants, and so definitely very impressive performance from both. Really fantastic. And Margaret, yes, you mentioned Seamus, your son. How are the turkeys? The free-range Loophead turkeys?
The turkeys have left. The turkeys have left the building, and so they are going to be oven ready by I think tomorrow, and so that that's a new enterprise for him, to expand. He's young, just a year married on the 21st tomorrow, and it's great that he's able to be at home, that he can farm and he can expand in different directions for him, and it's great for him to be able to stay in the peninsula. And you'd like for more people, young people, to be able to stay in sustainable industry in Loophead, and hopefully that's the way we will go forward.
With your guidance and the guidance of all the other people who are so actively involved in this whole initiative, I think we're going to get there, Margaret. A big thank you to Tim there online. Tim, you've been doing a lot of work for the Lighthouse area with the County Council. Thanks again for all of that. Looking forward to seeing you in the new year. And Joanne, back to you. Will we do number 2?
Yes, so that brings us to the end of the first panel discussion and the first video. And I just want to say to Liz and to Margaret, you guys made my job very easy, because I've worked in Clare before a number of years ago with CLDC on another training program, and I have to say I feel like an adopted daughter, a proud Donegal woman living in Galway, but never have I left the coast. And I have to say, you guys were so warm to me, and it was my absolute pleasure to work with you guys. So I appreciate the kind words. But anyway, my famous line, everything I teach you is academic until you put it into action. And I could not do the work for you. All of you did the work. So I think that the high praise needs to extend to your own front door, and to recognize the hard work that you did through a very, very tumultuous time for all your businesses. It was heartbreaking to watch it, but I totally agree with Liz. It was kind of weirdly perfect timing, that everybody could come together. So brilliant. So guys, thank you so much. Please continue watching. I'm going to put you guys back into the green room. See ya. Okay, so it's time now for our second video. And John, this one is outdoor activities on the Loophead. Do you want to intro this one?
Yeah, so what can I say? Fresh air. As Patrick in the first film says, freedom and fresh air. What more could you want? You got amazing lights on Loophead, coming from places where you don't always have the 360 horizon. What you can feel, the freedom of feeling that you can experience here, the wide open spaces, the storms coming in, and then the accessibility, the fact that you can get down to the coast to so many beaches and coves, and experience the great outdoors, or just stay a little bit outdoors and do a bit of yoga. Let's see what the video says.
I love swimming and I love the water, I love the sea. You'll always feel good after a swim. You'll always have a smile on your face.
I love the fact that you can actually scream your head off if you want to.
Woo!
Every swim is different. No two swims are ever the same, even if it's in the same place. And there's nothing a swim can't resolve.
But they just look beautiful. You look into their big eyes and I don't know, there's something calming about them, something to ground you. They're just amazing.
Wow, my goodness me. It really is breathtaking, and goosebumps is kind of what I'm feeling watching it. But we have some more guests joining us. I believe that we have Martin in the green room who's going to join us. And do we have Carmen?
Carmen's not there yet. Carmen might be coming along. Carmen is straight from from horse riding lessons, so let's see if she gets here in time.
No worries. And if she doesn't, we can take her in later.
Perfect.
But Martin, you're very welcome. Oh, you're on mute, Martin.
Now, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. How are you?
Okay, I'm good.
Martin, fantastic to see you.
And you too, John.
There you have it. That's the area where you're starting. I think your third or fourth new business. You, first of all, were doing free range, pretty organic beef from Loophead over the years in a butcher. You then are running, and you're still running Stella Maris Hotel, and you've just launched the walking tours on Loophead.
Yeah, there's Loophead walking tours. Yes, John, but I'm in my 60s now, though. So I started early. I started butchering when I was only 17 or 18, but that's a different part of my life. But back to your question about, or the film about the Loophead tourism. First of all, a big thank you to Matt and Nullig for producing such fantastic films, and also to Joanne for showing us what to do with them now that we have them, how to market them, how to get into that funnel and out of that funnel, Joanne. You've been teaching us all that for the last year or so. So I think the videos were spectacular, and they captured the personality of Loophead. They got the people right. There wasn't any individual marketing, which was fantastic. It wasn't persons looking to market my shop or market my business. That was none of that. It was just a feeling to get that proper balance right. And I think Matt and Nully got it perfectly right. Everybody got in there, and you saw people for real, for what they were, and that gave us a very good, or gave people, I think, a very good feeling of what Loophead Peninsula is about. And I've always had a bee in my bonnet. Like, I always felt that the loop was stuck between the Kingdom and Kerry and Connemara, and that we were kind of unknown, maybe a little bit forgotten about, But this thing has shown a whole new light into the unspoilt peninsula, the sustainable tourism peninsula. And that's what we want. We don't want busloads of tourists coming for a few hours and then fecking off again. So I think we got that videos that we've done has put us in the right light. It has shown the Loophead in a very, very good light. And it has shown the people of Loophead in an excellent light. So I'm very happy with them. And thanks to everybody involved.
And Martin, there's Siobhan there. She's just commented on Facebook. Great to hear Martin offering walking tours. Can he contact me in January?
I will, of course, Siobhan.
I love the fact that we're live broadcasting and doing business at the same time. It's fantastic.
Yeah, Loophead has an awful lot of hidden gems. Trust me, they're there.
And Martin, do you know where they all are? Like,
well, I know where there's a few of them. There's always a few secrets, Joanne.
Well, apparently you're the man that will be able to take us to the gems.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and Martin's
very well done.
No, thanks, Martin. As you say, it's all about the people behind it, and as part of your vision, you can imagine 5 to 10 guides in the future, because there's so many gems. It's a big area. It's got a coastline of over 80 kilometers, the Loophead Peninsula. Part of it the Atlantic, part of it the Shannon Estuary. The variety is fantastic. Also, the idea of going into the wild season, which is in the winter, and being able to guide people when there's a storm outside. So I think a very exciting time ahead. So I think watch this space when it comes to guided tours. No.
Yeah, well, it's whatever. It's so much about the peninsula itself, but it's also about the people. If you don't have the people that you meet along the road or someone to say hello to, if you have a visitor with you or tour and they run into somebody that's going to spend time with them or to talk to them, that makes their day. They come back to me and they say, that was fantastic. That really is it. It's the people, it's the scenery, the view, the peninsula, and then it's the people.
Fantastic. Carmen, you've come a long way to live in Loophead. Originally, I believe, from Germany.
Yes.
And you've taken your love of horses here. The filming of your horses and yourself with the horses, I thought that was so emotional, so beautiful. What's it like living on Loophead? What do you love most about it here? And what would you say to your friends back home?
Well, I suppose what I really love is, that it's a peninsula, and it gives you a feeling nearly like living on an island, and you're never far away from the water. See, where I grew up in Germany, I was 4 hours away from the coast, and it was a big thing to actually go to the coast, and I always loved it. So, being here now, I could walk down the road and be at Curran Pier in 5 minutes. So that's really amazing. And then, on one side, you have the dramatic landscape, you have the cliffs around Kilkee, and, you have the big high waves, and it's all very, dramatic. It's really rough and wild, and it's great. And then, on this side, you have the estuary, and it's a lot calmer. Generally, obviously you can still have wild days, but generally it's a lot calmer anyway. And I just love that difference. And then you have the bog as well, where I have the horses or the riding school, that's actually surrounded by boglands. So that's totally different again. And, I love going out in spring and early summer, and you have all the different flowers there, and it's just beautiful. And I noticed, especially last summer, there were loads of butterflies out there. So you're going riding, mostly riding, sometimes walking with horses. And, you have all these butterflies around you, and it's just so nice. It's, you just feel so connected to nature. I just love that. And I'm, apart from horses and all animals, I really, really love birds. And I love the curlew. And so generally when I'm going around, down on the shore road, you would always hear the curlew. Not so much see him, but you always hear him. And it's, it's such a kind of a haunting call. But what happens then during the winter time, they must be in the field at night. So I would hear the call just right next door in the field. And I'm, when I'm finishing up with the horses in the evening or doing lessons, and you hear the curlew calling, and it's just, I find that amazing. So, yeah.
And we just have King from Fall Charlotte coming in and says, guys, she wants all of you that have an experience on Loophead to give her drop her an email in the new year. Clearly she's really impressed by the showcase here today. So make sure that you build on the momentum, and there's Siobhan's email. We'll make sure to circulate it to everyone who hasn't been able to watch the live.
Yeah, and if I could just give some kudos, I think, to the board of Loophead Tourism and the people both past and present who made it happen. And there's been a lot, there's been turnover, there's been a lot of hard work done. But the idea that Loophead Tourism really looked at sustainable tourism and said, well, hang on a second, we need to be protecting our birds. But we're a tourism organization, so how do we do that? Or we need to be creating a renewable energy, but we're a tourism organization, how do we do that? So they proactively went out there and partnered, and they created in partnership with others, created the Loophead Energy Partnership to help on sustainable tourism. A great partnership now in place with Flensburg University in Germany and other universities in Ireland coming in. And, you know, grassroots community-based tourism, how do you make it real? Sorry, grassroots community-based energy. Same thing on the birds. You've got people like Kirsten, who's an amazing photographer, taking photos of the wildlife on Loophead for years. Within Loophead Together, he's got, you know, we're getting great support from Loophead Tourism, but also from the local GAA, from the local, even the local, you know, the local, all sorts of groups. Over 40 different groups from within Loophead have come together to make Loophead Together work, which is the umbrella of sustainable development for the area. Sustainable tourism can't happen unless you have sustainability across the board. And I think Loophead Tourism recognized that, and they've really partnered with other community groups, but also taken a bit of a back seat and said, well, hang on a second, we're not the right people to drive this. So partnering with others who can do it better than ourselves, that's such an important magic. And it also gives more room for other people to come forward and other leaders to come forward. And Carmen, listening to you now and your intimate knowledge of the wildlife around you, I mean, that needs to be shared. There's so many people who don't actually know the wildlife that's around them, or some people further away who don't actually, there isn't the wildlife left. So I think sharing that, but also protecting it and sharing the knowledge. Once we all have the knowledge, we'll work together to protect. I think that's such a vital part of all of this. So a big thank you for that. I can just imagine you there around the horses in your riding school between the bog and the Shannon River, and all the wildlife around you in the evening. It must be amazing. So big thank you.
And the energy, the ambition, and the action, those 3 A's that were very visible to myself and Nollaig and Matt right throughout the last 2 years are not going unnoticed. And I've always said to you guys, you have created a really tangible case study and an evidence-based approach to coming together, as Martin says, collective branding, a collective vision to raise up the profile and the attraction of your area. So Nuala says, congratulations to John, Joanne, Matt, Nollaig, and all the community on the Loop. What you've done on the Loop is inspirational. We need some of your energy up here in Donegal. Well done, everyone. And this is only a first step, I think, of you telling this story. You know, this is the launch of all the hard work, and go forth and be proud. And, you know, and I know you will, because you are so giving of your time and your knowledge, but people will ask you, how did you do it? You know, how did you do it? And even to document that process will be amazing. So some nice congratulations coming in here. People are absolutely loving it. There's Martina, Frank Cosgrove as well. And then we had Deirdre, and reminding everyone to go to loveloophead.com. All of the 5 videos that are being premiered during this live stream are going to be on the website from 3 p.m. So make sure that you share them far and wide. And we've peaking at 41 people watching the live broadcast on Facebook. We appreciate people are probably Christmas shopping or at work. So I can imagine the replay will get loads and loads of views. But please do share the broadcast if you haven't already on your profile.
Fantastic. So we now go for number 3, music, arts, food and culture. One of my favorite of the 5 films. Carmen and Martin, thank you so much for having joined us, and looking forward to seeing you very soon.
Okay, so let's go to our 3rd video.
that how to comb wool's hair?
It's exactly how. We came here with 2 horses. We now have 4 horses, 11 alpacas, 3 dogs and a cat. It's a lovely place to live. There's a wildness. It's completely natural and unspoiled. And we're trying to make it even more natural, as you can see.
There's no makey-uppy in Loophead. There's just the wild, the nature, the colours. The landscape will sort of, it'll make you stop. When it's wild, it can be really wild. When the wind comes up, some of the storms, you know, you just have got to lie low. But the wild can be very, very invigorating.
You know, I often went to bed at night time and you could hear the sea dragging the rocks. And that itself would put you to sleep. The sound of the sea going to bed at night time was absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah, music is great. Some people enjoy reading a book, other people enjoy going off playing a few tunes, and music is that, you know what I mean? People getting together, share a story, then that's what the music does. It's kind of sharing a story through music.
It's an unspoken language. We could play music all night without even saying hello, and we'd walk out and say we've had the most fabulous nights. It speaks for itself.
What I love about music is the camaraderie, I suppose, you get from playing with people. You have people all over the world who are playing traditional music now, you know. It's like a universal language.
New people are coming into the area, coming to live here, because they appreciate the value of what we have got here. It's unique.
I've come from a very busy society to here, and I needed the grounding, and it's worked, and it does work. The other special thing about this area is the sea, the power of the sea trying to destroy the land. And you just stand out there on the cliff and you can feel it, and that enacts you, it fills you with a bit of power, it fills you with enough headspace to go on, fight on, live on.
I had a passion for food anyway. Naturally gravitated towards the kitchen, you know. I suppose the passion that I discovered originated with my grandmother. My grandmother was a great cook. And when we came here though, it was all about the freshness of the local ingredients. We have an abundance of shellfish and lobsters and oysters and crab. What else could you serve when you're this close to the sea, you know?
A lot of very creative people have moved here and they've been just drawn here. There's been a kind of a magnetism to this area for artists and photographers and writers, musicians as well. And I get it. I can see every day why they come, because it is so inspiring. And the geology is kind of awesome. We're just this little finger of land jutting out into the Atlantic Ocean with water on 3 sides of us, you know, and the light here, that light, it's ever changing, ever changing.
John, they just get better and better.
That was wonderful. And I love the way, you know, Tony, a good friend, a great guy, and really gone through the top, you know, making real business happen in Carrigaholt. But there's Carrigaholt, there's Kilkee, there's Kilbar, Keatings. Some of the shots there were longed up. They were also the Armada Hotel. And, you know, with John Burke, who we'll hear from later, it's amazing when people come together and show, you know, my home is the Loophead Peninsula. So it's so much more than just one. How rich it is, you know, as I think Martin Hock mentioned, you know, it's not about, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. It's about, this is an experience you can get by coming, and it's everyone working together. And I think that video really showed it. It showed so many different people sharing their skills to make that, so that together the place, you know, gets, well, it's actually the truth. It's what people feel when they come here, because people don't just feel one thing, they feel the whole thing. And it's a whole experience that people really either come to visit as a holidaymaker or come and set up life back here. It's a whole experience that's important. It's not just the one thing. And I think so Matt and Nollaig again in that film have managed to pull together all that experience to say, well, this is the Loophead experience. And it might take you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 evenings out to actually experience all of that. That's another reason why, just coming for a day visit isn't really going to be that much fun. Amazing, yes, but if you really want to feel it, you got to come and stay.
And Liz sums it up brilliantly when she talks about the light, and the light is ever changing. And then Michael says, great stuff, fantastic to see home represented like this. And there's great pride in place, but there's ultimate pride in home. And so people who have left the Loop and are watching from far away, it really is wonderful. And it might also attract the diaspora back. But we have another panel, and we have Agnes O'Shaughnessy from Clare Local Development Company. We have Killian Murphy, and let me see if our third panel member is Mark here. Let's see if he's in the green room.
Agnes, Killian, great to see you.
Hey guys.
I don't think we have Mark, John.
Mark might come in a bit later. I know he was also busy on. Mark is a barman, but also a farmer, and he's juggling a few balls today. Agnes, Killian, you go back a long way. You know each other a long time. Killian, you're now a county councillor, so we have to say Councillor Murphy.
Agnes, I'm still Killian, John. Always have been. So.
Yeah, Agnes, you're now handling, I think, the whole LEADER program more or less in Clare Local Development Company. So, I mean, the history of the whole thing. We'll start first of all, I guess, with you, Agnes, the vision. You've been backing Loophead Tourism, and now you're helping with Loophead Together and other organisations in the area. How have you seen, if you like, all of this come together and help deliver on what the Clare Local Development vision is, or the overall government vision for development in this part of the world?
I suppose when we first developed the LGS, the LEADER LGS, we thought about what are the strongest industries in Clare, and tourism, obviously, just the beauty of Clare is one of the strongest industries. So how can we support individual tourist businesses? And networking is key to that. And we really believe that a strong network behind the businesses drives everything forward. So this project was very interesting, John. I suppose it was very ambitious when it first, when we first started to talk about it, but it came at a perfect time. None of us knew at the time when we were developing it what would happen next, but it gave people an opportunity to come together in a time when everything else was moving apart. So I think just this project alone, and it's such a lovely view forward now. We have obviously we have videos to market the area, but just the networking between people and the support from people, I think, is priceless.
Totally, and it all comes down to that. And Killian, that's what you recognised when working with quite a few others. You created Loophead Tourism at the very beginning in 2010. And when you see these videos today, how does that make the journey feel?
Somebody said goosebumps earlier, and that's absolutely nailed it for me. I think it's been. It's almost, this is a kind of a new jumping off point. So it's the kind of culmination of 11 years of a lot of work to get to this point. But it's almost like, we've had the toddler and the tantrums of the teenage years, and now we're heading into this kind of proper adulthood of a destination. And I think one of the things that has really stood out to me here is these are not videos this is about our place. It's us telling our own story from our heart. So it's really, I've seen a few videos from, I work out there in the space as well, and I see videos from other destinations and see how they put their packages together. And I've always used one from Strandhill, which I use as a kind of a talking point, because it's done from a tourism perspective, but actually strip out the tourism language, and it's about coming to live there. It's all of the good things about living in a place, and these videos are doing exactly the same thing for Loophead. We're not talking about tourism here. It's not overtly a tourism product. It's almost like a little stories of our lives here, which I think is really to capture that is amazing. I think one of the other things that's been really important, Johnny, is that we're stubborn people here. You kind of have to be to survive in a way on the peninsula. And I mean that in a good way. I'm not talking about a bad stubbornness, but one of the things that was really important, and for all of the people that started the journey, was this clarity of purpose. It would have been the easiest thing in the world to bow down to, you know, the prevailing tourism development model, which was very much about numbers and drive through and people, you know, just all about numbers and passage of people through the place. And I mean, to be honest, we were called some pretty harsh words. You know, idiots would have been the more milder, I guess. But I think that, you know, as the world has gone on, places like the Loophead Peninsula have become rarer and rarer and rarer because everyone else has done the same thing. And I think that's something that is showing here, that the value of what we have here has increased exponentially because we were so stubborn to mind what we have, and we understood the value of it to us as a community. And we didn't really want to change the community lives from a tourism perspective. We retained control, John. We've been controlled our messaging from the very start, and I think that's really has stood to us here. And I know we're caught in time here, but one of the things that I remember, and I've told this story all over the world when I have worked, and people still look at me going, "You're crazy." When Star Wars was filmed here, Ireland were doing a big production on promoting Ireland as a place to come because of Star Wars, and it was filmed in Loophead. Piece of it was filmed in Loophead, and we refused as an organisation, refused point blank to take part in that because we could see the consequences. Just didn't sit well with our. And people said to us always, "You said no," and I'll go, "Yeah," because it just, as a community, we felt it would have impinged really negatively on us. And I think having the strength and patience to pull with it all of this time as a group of businesses for a start, and as a community, I think has really stood out, and I think that's something to be really proud of.
So promoting as a great place to live and to visit, rather than to come up and take a photo of the Star Wars place and disappear off.
Well, we've used tourism as opposed to allowing it to use us.
Yeah, Agnes. Killian mentions, you know, it's all about keep getting the decision making local. That's the whole ethos behind Leader. You've seen the Loophead community do work together on tourism. The three parishes working together. They're now doing it on Loophead Together, which is at the larger picture, including lifelong learning, including biodiversity, innovation, entrepreneurship. And you're coming behind and supporting that as well. As an example, or as a link into the ethos of Leader, is this, you know, to what extent is this where you want the area to go, and what advice would you give the area? You know, what else needs to be done?
I think Killian captured it perfectly. You know, don't give up what you want. Don't have any agency come in and, you know, any agency at all come in and suggest where to go. And I suppose that's what we've always done in CLDC with Loophead Tourism, is listen to what you need and see if we can match. And Leader does fit in very well with that community-led local development, and that keep going. I would just say keep going. You've done amazing, like where you've come from to now in terms of community structures, but also business structures. So no, keep going, keep that independent voice, and it's nearly a model for other areas. And we're trying to model it in less developed areas in the county, but also for other counties as well. It's a model of development going forward.
Thank you very much. And Killian, as your work as a councillor, you've obviously seen the great partnerships that can be struck with County Council, and you saw Leonard earlier. Now, obviously, the County Council has to look after the whole area. To what extent do you think having local decision making is helping the county councillors do their work, or to what extent should they see it as a threat to what they're trying to do?
I think that one of the things that's very I see Treya's comment there, and I just wanted to echo that, Agnes, between yourself and Gloria, the support we have received from CLDC all along our journey has been immense, and shouldn't be taken lightly at all. So I do think it's important to acknowledge that. and that's me as a councillor, but it's also me as a human being who lives here on the peninsula as well. So, you know, one of my favorite quotes, John, was General Patton saying, "If everyone in the room is thinking the same thing, somebody's not thinking." And I think we've always been the group in the room that have not been thinking the same as everyone else, and we've challenged, and you know, we have gone toe to toe with the local authority. You know, there are things within our county development tourism strategy that are direct consequences of discussions and arguments that we've gone toe to toe with the local authority on. And you know, on the other side of that is that they've listened and they've heard, which is, you know, a lot of times agency tends to forget that they have to listen as well as speak. And to be fair, I'm, you know, we have a lot of arguments. There's no getting away from it. But arguments are good if they're done constructively. So I think we are, you know, I think there's going to be really interesting things to come on the peninsula, you know, supported by the local authority, because they do actually get us. I think it's taken a long time, but they do actually get us, which is good and it's great. And just last thing I want to touch on something Agnes said there. We are a best practice case study model. You know, it's something that the people on the peninsula shouldn't ever forget. We are used by the World Bank. We have been used by recently the International National Trust Organization. I mean, I did some work with the Giants Causeway, but they have referenced Loop Head and how Loop Head has been put together and the model of development there as being key to the development, proper sustainable development of heritage sites within the National Trust around the world. There are other organizations and communities all over Ireland and Wales, in Norway, that have looked at this sort of stubbornness, I suppose, in one way, and how we do our business and how we've kind of rolled. You know what? 3 parishes working together was groundbreaking stuff, and still is 10 years after the fact. So I think as a community, regardless of the tourism aspect of it, we have much to be proud of here, and we should be patting ourselves on the back of it.
Brilliant, and reflects, I think, the journey that so many communities all over the Irish countryside is going through at the moment, where I've been so impressed over COVID at the number of people up and down the coast who are coming together in partnerships. So I think it's a great time to be working in partnership. And Agnes, Killian, thank you so much for the groundbreaking work you both did to make these partnerships real. So before we go on to number 4 now and see the fun, stubbornness maybe, Killian, but also having fun together and clarity what we want to get to.
We were told that how on earth do you bring alpacas to West Clare? It was one of the more common observations by some of the people. But that has captured the imagination. People were interested to come and see what is this all about.
We love to be together, we love nature, we love wildness, which is exactly what this is. We don't really want the TVs and the phones and the computers, so we put it all down, you know, and the scenery is just spectacular, stunning. Yeah, really nice, well worth a visit.
You have just the beautiful rural countryside. There's very little intensive farming that you get in other parts of the country. The fields are smaller, the hedges haven't been taken out, they're still there, you know, and you still have the rabbits and the birds and the bees, and it's just more natural. It's a beautiful part of the world.
Fantastic. And at the end goes Monty. Monty's just had a little baby sister come into the world. So Emma and Andrew, big congratulations. Lovely to see all that.
So now going to our next panel, and we have Matt from Zuka Films. I'm not sure if Nollaig is there too. And we also have Brian McNally. So you guys, you are welcome.
Yeah, so Matt, Nollaig can't make it. Matt's here on his own. So the big Bueller boss to you, Matt. You'll have to take your mute off for us to hear you, I'm afraid.
There we go. My Achilles heel, I'm always doing that. Hi guys, thanks for having us. It's great to see everybody. And yeah, what a great way to show the videos as well. Like, yeah, they look fantastic.
Big congratulations. We'll come back again once I've introduced Brian. Brian from the Western Development Commission. Brian, you've had a number of projects here on Loophead, starting with a community house in Kilballyowen for community-based tourism. You then came in and helped during the tough COVID times. You helped to cash flow the Digital Academy and provide a bridging loan. But it's much more than that, isn't it? It's a bigger picture of where Western Development Commission and so many others have been working together up and down the West Coast to try to revitalise the communities of the west of Ireland. And so there's not just the Galways and the Limericks and the Corks, but it's a whole corridor. What are your feelings before we come to Matt and really give him lots more praise, and then see how your experience was doing all this, Matt? Brian, what's your feeling when you see that film, and how does it fit into the bigger vision of the Western Development Commission?
Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for inviting me to this digital celebration. It's fantastic to see all these videos. The video content produced is great. The experiences shared are great, and they really demonstrate the unique, I suppose, culture and landscape of Loophead, and also its people, and showcases the potential. I suppose what we've seen is remote working and digital hubs growing organically across the country over the last year, and especially through the pandemic. We see this network of hubs as being key economic drivers for the west of Ireland. And I suppose we also see the development of the network of hubs as a first step, followed by the provision of maybe public and private services through hubs to ensure they are sustainable. And obviously the pandemic has shown it's possible for people to work remotely. And why wouldn't you want to work in a place like Loophead, or, you know, it's a very positive development in the time. I think as more people embrace remote working and stuff like that, you know, it'll help increase the demand for services in rural areas and help build vibrant communities. I suppose bigger picture, the WDC, we have three main areas. In the short term, we're just focused on raising the profile of the West and, you know, its communities and its people. And it was great to be able to work and support this project. In the medium term, our vision is to develop this is a region of innovation. So by where, you know, we do innovative things at a local level and then maybe scale them to a national level. And that's what we kind of did with the hub network. We started with mapping hubs on the West Coast, and then gradually they're gone national and we're connecting them. And then in the longer term, our focus is on investment and lending to business and communities. And that's really a big area for me, is finding local projects and helping to support them and support communities. Because when, you know, communities are very strong and there's a lot of volunteers that give their time, when they all come together, and you certainly see something like, you know, all these videos about the people, the experience and the place, it's, you know, why wouldn't you want to visit? Why wouldn't you want to be there or live there? So yeah, that's what I just like to congratulate everybody for the project, and the videos produced are excellent.
Brian, thank you so much. And, you know, I know that you're currently remote working just up the road, because
that's right.
Part of your base is Doonbeg and very, very close to Loophead. So we're looking forward to when Doonbeg, Loophead, Kilrush as a larger triangle, we'll be working together. So I think your involvement in this as a Doonbeg man is very welcome as well.
Thank you, John.
Matt, you've seen many communities around Ireland. You've done work for Nationwide. You've done work for many other RTE programs. It must be fun. I mean, you see the power of videos to help pull communities together and help clarify their voice. What was your experience? What struck you most as you did the work on Loophead?
What struck me most with working on Loophead? Probably how passionate everybody is about Loophead. I mean, like I've been watching the broadcast today, and I'm very touched by all the compliments for the videos. But like, it wouldn't be possible to make a video. Like, none of these videos would be possible except for the honesty and the generosity of the people in them. And you can't fake that. Like the way people speak about Loophead, all you have to do is mention the peninsula, get them talking about the landscape, about what it means to them, and it just kind of comes out. You know, it's not forced. It's genuine. It's from the heart. And you know, you guys are very proud of where you come from. So in a way, not to take away from the work of the videos, it's easy when people are that passionate. You know, you couldn't just replicate this somewhere else if you couldn't find people that were as passionate or as interested about where they're from. You know, I think as well, there's something. Maybe it's because of where you are and because you know that you only have yourselves and you have to do things on your own because no one else is gonna. You know, you have to come together as a community and fight for what you need and do it yourselves. That people are very very self-motivated, and I think they've thought about the peninsula a lot. Like, you don't have to scratch the surface very much to get people to, you know, to express something really deep and profound because they've thought about it. You know, it's not just because what we asked them on the day. They've been thinking these thoughts for, you know, 30, 40, 50 years, however old the person is. So yeah, I think that's what struck me most, is just how important this place is for you guys. And, you know, how keen that you guys, what is it? I think this desire to improve what you have and to preserve it so that the next generation can have some of what you've experienced, you know, to have some of the life that you've had. And I think that's, for me, that's what my biggest takeaway is, just how like proud you guys are of Loophead. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's certainly the engagement between the different communities and getting clarity of what we think about. I think those conversations happening naturally in the old days in the pubs, nowadays in different formats. But getting the dialogue right and getting the trust to air in public what you really think, you know, so important. But I think at the end of the day as well, the ability to be at the other side of that camera and to put people at ease and to help them, you know, express themselves, and then capturing the gems and putting it all together. I mean, I love the third film where you have, you know, the snippets from the Armada, from the Long Dock, from different parts. It all told the Loophead story, and it wouldn't have been possible without different people working together. So I think the engagement between people, from my experience all over Ireland and elsewhere, the inherent love of place is there. But if you haven't articulated that together and haven't had a bit of a challenge and hadn't, you know, worked together and ultimately been engaged and do the brainstormings together and figure out where you're going, and then ultimately get that captured by people like you. So I think I mean, maybe as a point to advise the young budding producers and directors that you've been training over the last 2 years here, what's the secret of helping people just get to ease, say what they want, and then to put all that together into one film?
Well, in a nutshell, it's just listening, really. I think that's most of what I'm 20 years now, this year, working in this industry, and I think I've actually, you know, there's technical skills, you know, you learn different kind of methods, but I keep coming back to just simply listening. If I can just quieten down whatever's going on in my own head and just really listen to the person in front of me, just, you know, give a little bit of space, just, you know, take a bit of mindfulness and just really listen to the person who's talking and ask questions relating to the answers that you get back. And I find like it's almost like counseling. Now, I don't think you get as much out of it as a counseling session, but it does feel almost like that kind of relationship where you're just creating space, a safe and quiet space where the person on the other side will just be listened to. And that's it. That's it in a nutshell, I think. What I'd love to say as well about the videos is that these videos, and look, we're delighted with the response, and like it's great to hear nice things about your work, but these only touch the surface of what you could tell about Loophead. Like, there are a million stories out there, and we only scratch the surface. So what I would say to any budding filmmakers, producers, filmers out there, anyone that's done the course, there's so much to tell. There's so many stories you could tell about Loophead. And then this is only the beginning. It's only kind of like, it is only touching the surface. Like, there's so many interesting characters, lives, families, connections. I'd say nearly everyone's neighbor. You don't have to even go far. Just a person who's next door to you has an amazing story. All you need to do is kind of go and have a listen, have a chat to them. And maybe it's a podcast, like maybe it's a recording, it's an audio recording with an old person. Maybe it's a little video, maybe you hear a story and afterwards you just go off and you find the little visual elements that tell that story. But there's so many stories. I would really encourage, like, all of you, hopefully we've given you enough skills and hopefully the confidence. I mean, most of it is just the confidence to go out and just have a go,
Brilliant. Fantastic. Brian, if you like, obviously as a decision maker, you often have to take decisions quite often in your business. When you have a community that's quite well united and clear about where they want to go, I should imagine that gives a totally different reality when it comes to decision making than if you're getting multiple different messages from different people in the community, and it's obvious that they don't really know what they want. How important do you think it is to have a united voice as a community in 2022, coming into 2022?
I think it's just so important, I suppose, for every community, maybe even just to have their own plan or their own direction of where they want to go and get all the buy-in and support from everyone else. Certainly when everyone is pulling together and there's a collective there, a lot more can be done. Projects can be done a lot quicker and everything else. And there's more consensus. So, what we're seeing is, I mean, especially over the pandemic and all the rest, more and more people coming together in communities, coming up with projects, ideas and all the rest, and really taking, I suppose, interest in their place and trying to, get more involved in the community and different projects. I mean, I moved back to Doonbeg. I'm from Doonbeg, but I moved back here in July to live full time, and getting involved in local community groups, and seeing things happen and being part of it is absolutely great. And there's lots of people in communities that want to now become involved and help others in the community and deliver projects. And I suppose our experience of working with people in Loophead, like, I mean, the projects that have been conceived and delivered are absolutely fantastic. That's the sensory holiday accommodation in Kilballion was fantastic idea, as is this, the digital academy empowering people to, share experiences and produce video content. So these are really great projects, and it's great to see them happening.
Brian, thank you very much for that. I think the insights are very, very powerful and empowering for people once you realize the power of actually being empowered and being engaged together. Matt, you and Nolik have got a few, I think, holidays waiting for you in Loophead.
We'll be back. I'll definitely be back. Just as like a tourist, and I'd always love to visit. I think we feel very connected to the place now. Like, it was a long, together we've been like over a year, several trips. We've met an awful lot of you, so I think we feel very close to Loophead.
And many, many, many hours on the Digital Academy, which is now in the hub for anyone who's any kind of a member of Loophead Tourism. And some great knowledge there from both Matt, Nolik and Joanne. And the fifth film, is a little bit of a different take. It's what could be. It comes from the idea that, in places like Switzerland, you have the winter season, which is skiing, and you have the summer season, which is going and looking for Heidi and see if you can find her. Both of them are very vibrant and impressive seasons, but they're two seasons in the one place. In the west coast of Ireland, you have the Wild Atlantic Way, but often in the winter we say it goes to sleep. But in the winter is when the wildest is most prominent, most there. And so many people come from overseas to the west of Ireland in the winter and go, wow. And to some people, it's actually even more amazing than the summer. Now, a lot of you know Loophead in the summer. Imagine something even better. So that's what the wild season has tried to capture. And Matt, before you go, not an easy one, because you're creating a film about something that's just being launched really now this December. And I'm afraid you've overused the likes of myself and Andrea as models. Difficult to get people to step forward for this one. How has your experience been before we go and view it, the wild season? How has it been to make that?
Oh, how's it been? Well, I hope it catches even just a little bit of the. It's kind of it's a difficult thing to describe unless you experience it. But the sheer power and just I think power is probably the right word. The power of the sea as it tries to, as Robert says, destroy the land, and you really see that in winter. I hope we've captured a little bit of that, and it's amazing to see. I think that's something about Loophead that I think it comes across in the videos. Is just how close you are to the sea. There's not many places in the country, I think, where the sea is ever present, no matter where you are. And in the wild season, you get that, you feel that, you know. And as well, like it's I think Loophead in any season, it's very elemental. Like you're out in nature, you're out in the elements, whether they're good or bad. But in the bad weather, it's much more apparent what that is like. It's more of an effect on you, a physical effect. So yeah, I hope people enjoy it. And two great models, actually 4 great models. We have Liz and Ailish as well,
and even Martin in there.
Oh, and Martin.
And there's a few others slipped in. Brilliant. On that note, Matt is going to be looking forward to watching it. Matt and Brian, fantastic working with you both. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Wow, spectacular.
The wild season starting in December, finishing in April.
So we're going to our final panel, John, of the afternoon. And I see John Burke in the green room. John, you're very welcome. Good to have you here. And
thank you.
We also have Linda here. Let me get Linda in. There's Linda.
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you.
And there's Patrick. And is Derek there? Let me see.
Derek's not coming, but Luke should be coming as well.
Amazing.
Excellent.
Good to have you.
So we'll quickly go through an introduction, and then John Burke, owner,
We seem to have some feedback there. Can everybody just mute themselves while you're not speaking? That would be amazing. And John, you can continue.
Okay, John, owner and developer of the Armada. It's gone through changes that I think have been lightning speed over the last 5 years. It was already changing fast. Linda, you've come on into Loophead Tourism as a coordinator, at least for now, of the Loophead and Loophead Tourism, and we hope that's going to last much longer. We'll get some insight in from you shortly. Luke, chairperson of Loophead Tourism, lots of perfect time, in a pandemic to be chair of an organisation. Can't have been easy. We'll be coming over to you shortly. And Patrick, a lot of international work and national work, and quite prestigious tourism brands, an amazing wealth of wisdom. We're also lucky enough that you got to know Loophead. I'm looking forward to hearing your insights. So if we first go to John, John, you probably grew up and you've seen Loophead before it had anything to do with tourism. You've taken on the Armada from being the capital of weddings in County Clare to the capital of one of the most interesting and welcoming event venues in Ireland. So you've seen a lot of changes. What was your first impression of Loophead? Can you remember it first time, and how does that fit into your vision, longer term vision at the Armada?
Thanks so much, John. So yeah, the first impression I guess is the uniqueness of the area and how authentic it feels. The more I've become familiar with the people there and the organizations that are involved in promoting and working together down there, I think it's the community spirit and the togetherness is what really sets it apart for me. Just there seems to be an incredibly active community spirit there, and with as a testimony to the event going on here today, as an area, it's breathtaking, very special, and when for a person who's lived along these coasts all their lives, when it's impressive. For somebody like me, I can just imagine the impression that our visitors get from visiting there. So it's a place that's going to be hopefully a huge part of the Armada plans and visions into the future. As we move into different markets and move into different ways of doing business, we hope to be connecting even closer and closer to Loophead.
It was absolutely wonderful doing some of the filming up there with Matt, the fireplace in the bar, the view from the bedroom just over the sea. That must be absolutely incredible. Do you think the sea interacting with the Armada is one of your core selling points? We've done
quite a bit of research and background work to set out a vision for the next 5 years for the Armada, and the sea has always been there on our doorstep, obviously, and it's always been wonderful to look at. But the biggest objective now is to try to encourage and facilitate to get people out closer to kind of feel and taste and hear the sea up close and personal. While there is a lovely experience, admiring the sea from a bedroom or from a restaurant or bar, it's really when people interact with it that it leaves that lasting and long impression. You probably know my sister's involved in sea swimming here in Spanish Point. She's swimming 3 times a day at the minute. And when I've joined her, and the people that I hear that have joined her and guests that have joined her, it's quite profound the impact it can have. Now you don't have to be as adventurous to jump into the sea in the middle of December to have a great experience. But a barefoot on the sand or a walk along the beach or those wild days, everything Loophead is promoting is exactly the message the Armada is going to deliver. And I suppose one of the big things we're trying to do now is not just try to encourage people to get out, but really try to facilitate to get them out. So we have a guest relations department set up with the last 2 years, only 6 people in that full time, meeting, greeting guests and facilitating and encouraging people to get out. We've a whole lot more that they can do because so much of their work has been involved with COVID restrictions and names and stuff, people arriving, checking COVID passes, which we'd rather they weren't doing, and doing a lot more exciting stuff. But as we move move forward, we can see them doing a huge amount of facilitating to help get people out. And we're looking at new roles. We've been interviewing for a new role here, which is going to be an employee, a guest, and an ocean, a well-being manager, who's going to try to connect the guests and the employees who are, as we say, as important to us as our guests, and the hotel to the ocean in a lot more ways. We want to be, as a hotel, we've set ourselves a clear strategy that we want to be the leaders in hotels in Ireland, in how we connect with the ocean, how we protect the ocean, and how we support people who are connected to the ocean as well. So everything about Loophead is aligning with our strategy. Now, of course, strategies are the easy part. We have to get the work done now. But anyway, that's our plans, of course, at least.
Totally. And getting the work done, I mean, it's going to be incredible to see the Armada and the whole area once COVID has stopped, because the rebound, I think the foundation that's been laid and the changes that have happened on outdoor activities during COVID, fantastic. Now, you haven't given up on the land either, and obviously a very important thing for Loophead, all the agriculture. You have the Armada Farm, and that's, maybe just talk a little bit about the importance of food, of sourcing the food, essentially at your doorstep and being able to sell that in your restaurants.
Yeah, so Armada Farm has been on the go since 2012. Started with 100 heads of cabbage. I remember that year for Willie Clancy Week to make what we were calling it the best bacon and cabbage in the world. So we put a lot of work into just growing amazing cabbage. So that was 2012 to this year. Armada Farm would have provided all the toppings, tomatoes for our pizzeria out front, everything. So we've about an acre and a half planted. It's overseen by Fergal Smith from Moyhill, so it's chemical free, no dig, low carbon release method of growing. It's been amazing because during lockdowns we had 5, 6, 7, 10 chefs a day up there, and it's connecting them with the produce. So that's their life skills that the chefs are learning as a result of that. We've animals up there. We've allotments for our team so they can grow and spend time. We encourage them to get time up there. There's alpacas and ponies and different things like that that they can visit and see. We've chickens for eggs, which aren't for guests. They're just for not for the hotel. They're just for our staff and for people staying in the Gate Lodge there. So Armada Farm has been great. It's educational for us, and it's connecting us with produce. And the more that we can specialize in unique produce, and that's where we're moving, I suppose, away from the land. What's unique about it as well is that we use a local seaweed on the soil there, so that gives it that kind of old style of agriculture growing that would have happened around here many years ago. So now the next step for us is to figure out how we can do something unique with the sea, and that's where a lot of research, we have to do a lot of research on this, because there isn't really much information. We know there might not be, there's seafood we should be using and shouldn't be using, the low air miles, and what's less threatened as a seafood source. So all that now is our next step, moving away from our focus on the land and meats and vegetables and produce to how we can try to start understanding the sea and the produce in the sea. And that's a whole new area where we're hoping to start working on and understanding.
John, thank you very much. Luke, you've known the sea practically all your life. You have, I think, I'm just getting a bit back. Yeah. So yes, you've known the sea practically all your life. So I think there's a lot of good advice to be given to John over the next few years, especially as your role as chairperson of Loophead Tourism. Now, Loophead Tourism set up with sustainable tourism. What do we mean by sustainable tourism at Loophead Tourism, and what's the vision? How do you see Loophead Tourism delivering what it's committed to over time?
Yeah, okay, John. Two Johns there. Nice to see you, John. Great story about Armada. It's fantastic how it's going on. The sea there is on your doorstep. Give lads rods and catch some bass and put them on the pan. It's not that hard, John. John, Joanne, you're doing a brilliant job. It's great to see, and it's fantastic to see these films that Nullig and Matt made and produced and are releasing today. I know Linda's been waiting, trying to get them out for quite a while, fighting with me that she wants to have them used. And right from today now, we'll see how it all goes. We look forward to it. It's a fantastic extra milestone to Loophead Tourism. And it was great to hear Killian earlier on talking about that, you know, how maybe we're starting to mature a bit. I won't say it gets any easier when we mature. As John pointed out, the whole COVID thing has been made networking, because you take the personal touch out of it and, you know, people in a room out of it, it all becomes a lot harder. You know, in so many ways, it's easier for us to communicate than ever it was before. And in so many ways, it's a lot harder for us to communicate than it ever was before. So I think it's a great way of putting it together. You were asking me, John, about the vision of Loophead Tourism. Well, you know, Killian was there at the very beginning. I was invited very, very early on into it. And it was, you know, it was great fun, and there was all the different new things that were talked about. But I think that the main vision that we had even back then was, you know, sell the place, but to do that in a way that was sympathetic to the area. You know, we didn't want to just crowd the place. We wanted our business to be viable. We wanted, you know, we didn't want more numbers. What we wanted was a longer season. You know, a longer season is what makes everything sustainable, viable for us back here. So, like Kilkee would have had a very old name as a tourism destination. Maybe it was getting a little bit jaded at the time, because there had to be more than just arcades and amusement slots and that sort of thing. You know, the whole idea that people got out and got on the cliffs and used the whole peninsula as a destination, you know, was a great maybe leap forward in a way. And I think you can see even now in the businesses in Kilkee, they're still the main place for people to stay in the peninsula, but it is very important, I would have thought, that it's the destination that people come to, rather than just to sit in the pub and play slot games, you know. So it's the whole way tourism has moved on, and maybe we just came in at the right time to help market that and move that on. And so that was part of the vision, was to extend the season, and then I suppose to have a handle on the direction that took. And again, we've talked about it. We were never really interested in mass tourism. We didn't want people coming in coaches, and still don't. Like, we'd be straight up about that. The idea of people coming in and leaving nothing but their, well, we won't say, but you know, there has to be more to tourism than people coming in big numbers into an area and leaving again and destroying it. And also, we were very conscious that it was hard for people, new startups, to get going. So I think always from the very start as well, the idea that we were able to support new businesses as they started up, and that there was a network that they could just slot into and would have a circle of contacts, and hopefully a certain number of people that would proactively help them develop and give their product onto the market, you know. So I think that was very much the vision of Loophead then, and still is. And the sustainable bit, that did cause a lot of debate. I remember 2 or 3 long nights talking about what we would describe ourselves as a network. It was quite trendy at the time just to call yourself an eco network. And I think, you know, that would have been the easy line to go down, but we sort of thought it had to be more than just that. Sustainable was a phrase that wasn't common at the time. But, you know, everybody talks about sustainable tourism now. It's fantastic to hear Leonard Cleary talk about sustainable tourism and the 3 branches of it. We took 3 or 4, you know, quite a bit of effort to write down what we thought were 3 branches of sustainable tourism. Killian Murphy, Councillor Murphy, was brought to the World Bank to describe what sustainable tourism was. You know, it's crazy. It's only 10 or 11 years ago, and yet, and it's very much part of our language now. But it was something we thought about and talked about. And Leonard did list out that what we considered the 3 branches was the environmental branch, the economic branch, and the social branch. You know, like it's very important that we protect our environment, but we must remember that, you know, the area is lived in area. There's farmers and everything else, and to a certain extent, eco is used now as a stick to beat farmers with. You know, people biting the hand that fed them is an incredible idea. That's something that is almost mainstream media now. So while, you know, our surrounding and our environment is everything to us, absolutely everything to us. But it has to be part of the whole structure, sustainable structure of the area. So there's the environment of it, there's the economics of it. So unless the businesses are viable, it's definitely not going to work, you know. So we have to be realistic about it, and we have to make enough money to live and support our families and support our way of life. So support people that are employed by us, all those sort of things. So the economic sustainability of anything is very, very important. And the social sustainability, like we are inviting people to come and visit us in a place that is home to a lot of people. You know, most of the people won't be involved in tourism in the area. It's their home, and we're using it as a playground. We're commercializing a people's backyard. Nobody would like it if you're commercializing their backyard. You know, nobody likes that, and we have to be very, very aware of that. And you know, there's so many advantages to tourism, to a rural area like us, and the employment it gives, and the ability for lots of people to live and work in the area. But there's also a downside to it. So I think we have to be very aware of that. And so when we talk about sustainable tourism, we talk about the socially sustainable as well. And I think those three branches that Leonard listed out earlier on are exactly what, you know, I certainly remember being in that room and talking about it. And we maybe we were just working from some kind of, we'd seen it already, but I don't remember or recall seeing it already. And I think we laid it out there, and you know, we were there on the forefront of that. And I think that's part of the things that make Loophead Tourism strong to this day.
Thank you very much, Luke. Patrick, this a lot of that area you've been giving a lot of thoughts to, both obviously nationally but internationally. You have been running Solnoa for quite a while. You've worked on country strategies for tourism and local strategies for tourism. Taking what Luke has said there about sustainable tourism and ultimately tourism that's giving back into the community. What are your thoughts as you, number one, as you see all those films, but then as you hear what both John and Luke have been trying to work on?
Well, I'm very encouraged. Actually, before I even start, I just want Matt to know that you got all those chances to look really relaxed, and I'm putting myself forward. You know, if there's any future filming doing that, I'm available. Because I want to have part of that Loophead magic. Yeah, no, I think Luke has really articulated, you know, it's always dangerous to be trendy, you know, but I think what you've managed to do in Loophead was to be ahead of the curve. And, you know, first of all, on the films, you know, congratulations to Joanne, to Matt, and to Nollaig. I think they captured, and I think to use Matt's words, that generosity, that honesty, which is at the core of where tourism is really going at the moment. So as you rightly said, I mean, I had a privilege of getting a little glimpse of Loophead, but most of my time I spend in destinations around the world. And certainly I can see the downside, you know, whether it's from Dubrovnik or Amsterdam or San Francisco, where you see tourism that has been developed without a clear understanding that tourists are visitors to where people live, and that balance and that centrality of making sure that tourism, when it is used to rightly, and it is a fantastic tool to, you know, help develop a destination economically, socially, and environmentally, but it has to come in the context of this is where people live first. So it's that balance, and then the tourist is there to help, to enjoy, to participate, but ultimately it's subservient to what goes on locally. So I would have to say, you know, congratulations, you know, you're ahead of the curve. And John, you know, I'm here because, in fact, in fairness, your vision, you know, you've been banging on about this. And when I came across you first, I thought you were completely mad. Thank God, I still think you're mad, but you're a mad visionary, which is something which I'm really impressed by. And, you know, to everybody who's been involved in the project, I think it's you know, as somebody who's has, as I said, just a little outside look at Loophead, but, you know, I'm seeing around the world, and you are ahead of the curve, and, you know, continued success, because I think you're definitely on the right road. And I love the idea of the wild season, because certainly any destination, you gave Switzerland, but I could give you 20 other destinations who, again, it's that question of balance. there's no point in having a concentration in any one area. It's not good for the guest. And the new luxury, we're seeing in all the research from Fall to Ireland or from any other destination, is that the people who are going to come back first are those who are the tourist who understands about the transformative nature of tourism, who are the kind of the outliers in one respect. They're usually the people who luckily have a little bit more disposable income. They're the ones who are looking for real, authentic experiences. And a real authentic experience is not the luxury of the past. It's not the bling. It's when people feel they are personally being enriched, they're learning, but also they're giving back in a sense. They're not destroying what they have the privilege of enjoying. So well done, guys. I can only just stand back in awe and say congratulations.
Don't worry, Patrick. We won't let you stand back too long. The grappling with this, and I think again, seeing Linda, seeing John, seeing Luke, and knowing the amount of other brains that are trying to figure out where we go with all this. It's easy to at one point take the wrong turning. So I think being ahead in the mind about where we're going and what the consequences are, and just being a little bit ahead of the action on the ground gives it's like a captain in a ship. They have to know what a storm means.
Yeah, and John, sorry, just one other point. I mean, I don't know who made it. I thought it was a really brilliant point. Outside of the wonderful marketing material, and that's always a kind of, as Joanne knows, it's a dangerous thing to have in your hands. That network, that network, that real authentic network that you're building up. And as Luke has obviously described it, it's full of fully developed personalities who are well able to defend and argue different points of view. I think that's another byproduct that may not be probably seen yet as much as the importance of it may not be seen yet, but that's a fantastic thing as well.
I think that's key. I mean, getting that network behind, and Ian Glendinning, who was the chairperson between Killian and Luke, his comment on there, it's very much like that. I mean, a lot of our work prior to tourism would have been extractive industry, and tourism in a way is an extractive industry. As Luke says, you're kind of commercializing your backyard. So whether it be mining, oil and gas, wind, any of the big industries that are taking something out of nature but that impact, I think Patrick, you've said it very clearly, that it's really about making sure that that you listen to the people who are going to be impacted the most. And often, my background is engineering. I spent lots of times with big teams working for World Bank and others, designing amazing projects that we thought were amazing projects. And there'd be 7,000 pages to explain to ourselves why there's such amazing projects, but nobody could understand that. And often when you then go to the community and listen to them, they come up with the same amazing projects and they manage to summarize it in 5 words. And so actually the professionals sometimes turning on the 2 ears and just using the one mouth, there's something very powerful there. So I think that guidance from people who feel it on their skin day in, day out, that's so central. I mean, there's no way I don't think an expert can replace 20 local people networked together who experience what's really happening, advising others as to what should happen next. So that grassroots driven, and it's not grassroots as in, what that simply means is the people who feel it on their skin. That is becoming more and more powerful worldwide, I think, Patrick, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you look even nationally, I think, Fall to Ireland are doing a super job, Tourism Ireland, but I think they're beginning to understand that, that in all branches of tourism in the future, that tourism is it's been it's a leveler. It's regional. It should not cause impact, which is negative on a destination. But all of those things only take place, as you rightly said, is when the focus is on tourism that is actually, has a proper balance. It's focused first on that, how does it impact on the locals? What are the outcomes? And because, as we've seen in so many, certainly I've seen in so many destinations around the world, we destroy the very, very what makes that attraction in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, all of the things that, that nature, and we've destroyed it. And also that, I suppose, that balance, and John has mentioned about, the sand, the land and the sea, wonderful, wonderful kind of combination, the air, they're all part of that total experience. and that needs a really delicate balance, and that has to be always put through the filter of those people. John, that's a great phrase. I love that phrase. I'm going to liberate that phrase. People who feel it on their skin, people who know. So the bullshit, the kind of the marketing speak or whatever the strategy, culture always eats strategy for breakfast. And I think what's important in terms of Loophead, if I might say so, as an outsider, is the wonderful culture that you have present, but that also that you're sensitive to and you nurture, because what will keep the balance right, not any kind of outside influences.
Cultivating that conversation, Linda. Going forward, you've got those 5 videos. You've got all the great stuff already done. Linda's been very at the cliff wall, putting the content onto Love Loophead. You've also got 52 experts, let's say, at least people with a lot of ability to make videos. What does 2022 look like for you to cultivate the conversation around the genuine, authentic tourism on Loophead?
Well, I think first of all, congratulations to everybody involved in the videos and in those who attended all of the training, because I think that now they have the capability to showcase Loophead on so many platforms. Since the training has taken place, you can see the development and skill that has been put into the businesses' web pages, their social media, their video content. The last 2 years have been extremely difficult, and it had also meant that media and digital has just been catapulted forward, and it has advanced so rapidly. That would have been extremely daunting for so many people, but with the training received, each of the members are now embracing how they can market their business. As you said, they're all now experts, all 52 of them. So some of them are just very small businesses there on the west coast of Ireland, but now they have the capability to have their businesses shown right across the world, and they now know how to do that. Loophead members are also very, very blessed that they don't have to set the scene, so when businesses are creating their own videos and they're looking for props and backdrops and all of those things just to get that perfect shot, whereas our members don't have to do that. We walk out the door, we're surrounded by some of the most amazing scenery, and the videos showcases that in so many ways. Just the ruggedness of it all and the beauty of what is all around us. It's amazing. They can showcase that to the whole world. So again, many of the members have embraced that, and they know now that by mixing up what they're selling and where they're located, that they're gaining followers, they're gaining engagement, and sales are increasing. So it's a win-win for everybody. So for 2022, those videos are just going to sell themselves. It's fantastic to have them. As Luke said, I have been very much pushing to get to this point where we can showcase them. I was privileged enough to see a couple of snippets in them, so I could see how amazing they were going to be. And I'm just very excited to finally get them out there to the world. And we're going to get them on every platform we can and showcase exactly what Loophead is and the people that live there. So it's also great to see that the members they'll grow in confidence and strength, and we'll get to see more videos coming from them. And also it'll be fantastic to see there's such great camaraderie with the members on the ground. They really back each other up, their businesses, they bounce off one another all the time. But it'll be fantastic to see that come digitally as well, where they can just create links on their own websites and knowing now how to do that when the visitor comes to the activities, they can bounce off onto the accommodation providers and vice versa. So you can keep all of those people in Loophead. They can all, there's no reason for them to want to bob off anywhere else. Loophead has everything they're going to need for their family holiday or just for any kind of a get together. So along with those those 5 videos, we have 2 fantastic projects that we're hoping to get up and running for 2022. One of them being a visitor app. So we're at the early stages of research of that for the moment, but it's going to be another way to really promote the walking trails, the heritage sites, and all the history that Loophead has to offer. And that we're also going to work on a voucher system. So it's still a very exciting time for us, for the members, and for Loophead as a destination. And thanks to all the training that they have received now, those 2 new initiatives that we're going to be working on, they won't seem so daunting. They'll have a feel for what it is that's going to be expected of them and what to do when we get there. So it's fantastic.
Linda, and equally fantastic that we now have you here part-time to help pull it together. You would have experienced a little bit what we experienced for the wild season, where people don't always volunteer to be on video, out in front. So it does take a lot of relationship building to make people feel that this is worthwhile and this is something you can give it to. So I think having the help from the network networking among themselves and not always relying on you or Luke as chairperson or the board, but having that mutual support that you do see happening. People having confidence to just say, you know what, now is the time to work together. Because I think from your perspective, content is still king.
Absolutely. I mean, and having those 5 videos is it's all the content we're going to need for the next year, because it's got every season captured into that. And, as much as every small area in Ireland, once it comes to the middle or the end of September, things just starting to quieten down and everything shuts down, and people businesses take a break after their busy summer. But we'd love to see that industry grow into October, November, December, and absolutely the wild season is definitely the one that we're going to push for next year, and really see people travel longer into the season, to almost create a 9 or a 12-month season in Loophead.
Great. So anyone out there who can make any content, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, the whole way from the Armada West, we'll slowly hopefully get more shots from the local market town Kilrush as well. But ultimately, it's a wonderful place to come for a week's holiday. Flying past, you won't really feel it. You have to sit down and listen. So anyone who loves sitting down and listening, as the mother said in one of the videos, a great place to put your mobile phone to one side and reconnect. That is a holiday that so many millions of people need. So many stressed parts of the world. So I think us as a community being able to welcome people and give them a home where they can connect. The whole way, Luke, Glencarrig, the Armada, there's so many venues around where it is in fact a home for people to get away from a different way of life to a way of life that's very much connected with the local energy and the local environment. So I think that conversation going forward, as I say, Patrick, we need that guidance. I think not just for Loophead, but the country as a nation. There's so many things we can learn from each other in Europe and the whole world. And I think your network is very, very rich. Joanne, I would leave you with the last word, because you've been the backbone of making this happen. This event, you've also been an amazing. I mean, the energy during COVID, when people came for their 3 hours training, sometimes 4 hours, and they went through that because of just the joy that comes out of you, even on the screen, interacting with people. How do you manage to how do you manage to have that positive energy no matter what?
Well, I think that we're all very alike. The people that joined the training sessions, the people on the board of Loophead Tourism and Loophead together, we have one common denominator, and that is passion for what we do. And so I love what I do. I love empowering people with new knowledge and skills. And we were connected by a passion, and I become an extension of who I work with. But a trainer can only be as good as the room that they're training. And I was getting the energy back from the people. And so for me, it was really, really easy. It was a really joyful project. It was a real privilege. And as I said earlier, I felt like an adopted daughter from Donegal into Clare. And I love the coast. I've always lived by the coast. I grew up in Downings in North Donegal, fishing village, population 400 people, and that connection with the sea. I know it, I understand it. And, I speak to my friends and family back home and I say, look what they're doing down in Loophead. There's so much to learn from. So for me, it was easy. I do what I do, but the differences are the people that you engage with. And Treya said it earlier. She said, you got us through lockdown, but in actual fact, we got each other through lockdown. We were all zooming in on a square from wherever we were. And it was pretty scary at the beginning. But actually, as somebody said earlier, the timing was actually perfect. I think Liv said it. So I just want to congratulate you all. There's something, you're living in a place that is very special. You add the people and the camaraderie, that sense of community, and the vision that you held on to so tightly, and you wouldn't let anyone come in and take it, not any international brands or movie sets or anything. And now the fruits of what you have, and you're only beginning. The empowerment of digital to be able to connect with a global audience and tell those stories. And Matt and Nollaig, they're very humble people, and I think, you know, we can't say it enough that their work is actually just absolutely groundbreaking. It would sit on any screen in any business or brand across the world. Yes, they had a great product to work with. Yes, they had great people to work with, but my God, are they talented. And it was my pleasure to work alongside them. So thank you guys for the opportunity. Thank you for the business. I'm a small business too, but together we kind of went on that little journey during COVID with the ultimate goal of teaching people digital skills to bring into their business, to build a collective brand on a global stage that meant something to you guys, that wasn't just replicated in any tourist town or village or city across the world. So yeah, it's been an absolute joy, and I will look forward to watching your journey on the outside and getting down for a wee holiday whenever I can.
Fantastic, Joanne. Thank you so much. John, massive vision in the Armada. Big congratulations to you as well, what you've managed to do. And a big thank you to be an Associate Gold member of Lupet Tourism. That's a real vote of confidence to the whole of the peninsula. So I want you to know that that's very much appreciated. Patrick, coming in with your knowledge and just that clear vision of where we're going. Thank you very much. You've been a friend over time, and looking forward to interact. Linda and Luke, you've got your hands. The COVID thing will continue a bit longer, but once it's gone, you'll be very, very busy. So enjoy the peace while you can have it. Folks, especially all of you for listening, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been a real pleasure to share these with you. In 2 minutes on the loveloophead.com new website will go live. You'll see the videos there. Please do share. Anyone who feels that, you know what, this is what we really, really want to do, Linda's email is welcome@loveloophead.com, and that's what that email means. She's there. You need some advice. You need some knowledge about how you can organize your holiday. On Love Loophead, you'll see a lot of the members. Now, some of the members aren't there. It's been really tough during COVID. Coming up to 2022, a lot of the old members will come back and new members coming forward. And it's really a team of people working together, networking to make it a wonderful place to be, whether you live here or whether you come to visit. And when you come to visit, please remember, make it your home. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.